Good morning and welcome to another podcast. And this one is entitled Saying Goodbye, for good reason, because I'm going to go ahead and just, I'll go ahead and publish it. It's not going to hurt anything. Um, and then I'll come back and put the YouTube video embedded on here. But this is an email that we got from Bernie, who's our Slovakian minister. And I'll leave this to you to go ahead and read. I'm not going to read it here. But one of the things that she is saying is something we're all saying. And what she doesn't understand, because she wasn't here during our honeymoon time to see what he's doing, and that we are continuing this honeymoon, that ministering is now the focus of RMI and the licensed ministry franchises. However, she's right, because we are starting to stray from that and getting a lot too much caught up in administrative. So today I was able to, I'm going to jump right to this with Poppy. I left her, this is from yesterday, and I am sharing here what I want to share with all of you. And I'm going to speak to myself, because already my husband's saying, hey, you need to enjoy this. I don't want you off of your honeymoon either and get caught up in so much administering and making sure everything is going just right. We want to slow down. And to prove his point, which I absolutely love, is I was going to set an alarm to make sure that I was on time. Well, even though nobody is really joining me today, Yvonne has something that she has to do with her family. And so she suggested Sarah. I had every intention of inviting Sarah to join me, but then she also had something she needed to do with her family. So it's just me, it's you, and of course, it's my husband who's here. So I got a later start, which throws everything off. So my husband had me turn off my alarm that I have all the time at 8:20 that I'm going to have breakfast. That got turned off. I do have this set, my 20 minutes. He did have me set, because all of you only need 20 minutes. This needs to stay 20 minutes so that you're sure that, oh, I have 20 minutes to spare. I can go and listen to today's podcast. But even though this is entitled, or the last one here, or sorry, last one, today's is Saying Goodbye, and we do have this, and the other is the See You Soon, which I do need to get to. First and foremost is our honeymooning. And that's not going to take place if we're administering and administering and administering, and certainly not going back to the way we used to do everything. So I don't know about you, but this is my inbox, and I am just not able to keep up with all the comments. Most of them, the ones that I am eager to respond to, that I can quickly respond to, are the ones that are ministering, because I'm in honeymoon mode. I want to stay that way. Even when I'm doing administering, if I'm doing it on my honeymoon, it's different. It's just different. I can't explain it, but I think you even understand, each of you, that we can't understand a lot of things. People don't understand us. How can you be happy during that? It's that peace that surpasses all understanding. And as a bride, you know that this is something that we can't explain it. But once you've experienced it, sometimes people say it's like, when you, well, just, meeting the Lord for the first time, the peace that you have, feeling free. And, it's so long ago. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't remember it too much. I don't remember feeling free from my sins. I was only 7 at the time. But I do remember the love that I felt, and I was in love, right away. Couldn't identify it. But anyway, so I just wanted to encourage all of you is, And, some of this is asking about, how do I do this? How do I do this? I just think it's not all that important. I think what is important is him, just spending the time with him, because if not, then not only does Bernie have every reason to want to leave because she doesn't want to get bogged down with this, but a lot of us, I'll include me, I don't want to be a part of it. I had originally wanted to just do the ministering and give administering to everyone else, but once we got to this where we offered one person a honeymoon and then another, and then realizing everyone deserves to be on a honeymoon because it isn't a punishment. It's the best thing in the world. Everything will end up getting done that he wants to have done. All this admin things is just not that important. So let me jump into a couple things. I still have 15 minutes left, but even before this, we were talking about sharing your intimacy. So let me explain some things too with our posts. When I'm going to use the encouraging men, I'm just following his lead right now. This is how I scoot in here. But right now, there is someone who is in the back end who's posting every day for us, but we need to just let go of this. I mean, even this powerful principle, I'm not exactly sure, but I did this I posted this for a man because he wrote to us, but even that man didn't comment on it. But I think that the most important thing is okay, so this says that Aaron posted, I didn't though. So we do want to make sure that if you're posting it, that your name is there. Anyway, but before I post this, it would be important for me, if I'm the minister, to read this powerful principle in my language here, and then talk about this tool for victory and how did it minister to me. But if I'm not going to, it's like putting out a buffet. If I'm not going to eat this food, why am I serving it to my guests? I'm not going to eat the food. You do it. When you entertain someone in your home and you bring them into your home, you want the hostess to sit down. Those are the ones that are the most casual. There can be formal ones, but I think you understand what I mean on this, that we want to make sure that let me go to encouraging women, and maybe that will help you a little bit more. So on here, this is, look at, it's all, here's an administrative things. Only 2 people wrote, my goodness. I think this is indicative, and it's example, because everyone has, it seems to has left here, and now we're over here, and that's almost underground again. So I am not able to guide you and lead you in everything and explain everything. It's really something that you and your husband have to do and follow his lead. Most importantly is just don't go back. Don't go back to the way things were. I don't think any of you, do you want to go back to there? I certainly don't. But all of these comments, and look, it's not, there's no lessons here at all, which is probably a nice thing. However, let me go over to Love It Last, and let's take a look at there to see how that compares. So so we do have this accepting a podcast, accepting his help. That's a good one. I love that. But this podcast is all about how he ministered to me, and then I'm ministering to you. I don't know what this, here's the French blog that Adina, French blog, is she doing that one? I'll have to look into it. My custody, this is all her own personal. I do know that. This one came up with a lot of comments about questioning husbands and things. And I don't think it was necessarily based on a lesson, but there's a lesson in there. So we want to make sure, and I do understand about announcing your blog, but this is more administrative too. I don't know if I can explain it well, but maybe a few of you can speak to your husband, talk to him about this, and then let's just see if after the weekend we can, well, of course, you're going to probably come in and minister, but I doubt you're going to be administering, hopefully not. Remember this, if you're administering and you're asking us questions and how do I do this and how do I do this, then you're kind of leaving your husband alone on the honeymoon that you're supposed to be spending with him. However, if you do things together, it keeps it as a honeymoon. And if you keep your honeymoon going, then I get to keep my honeymoon going, and everyone else gets to keep their honeymoon going. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I really have gotten off a lot more on this than I had planned to. Let me see what else. This is, okay, so I'm just going to end this. We have about 8 minutes left on this podcast. Yvonne was going to share her example. Thankfully, she shared it with me because I didn't know about this, which is that when we're having, and I'm going to talk about the fellowships now. The fellowships need to be, it's interesting, it doesn't have it here, but the fellowships moving forward need to be that you are going to be doing your work and talking to them. I'm sorry, you have to be spiritually fed. And if you're going to have a fellowship, then they need to have some sort of intimacy, a lesson to talk to their husband, and then come in and be able to share that. It's not just praise. What Yvonne said is that when it was on a topic, it was on a lesson. So when you're off doing a lesson, or you're reading a devotional, or you're doing any one of the already translated resources, and you do that with your husband, and together you talk about it, you're ministered to, you come away with the testimony, and you're able to share that. When that was the way the fellowships were working before they went to just come in and give praise, they were highly attended. Then the attendance started to drop down. And I think too that it just doesn't help anyone to move forward, to come in and just chat. I do love that we're chatting about different ones, but we want to do that. So we do want to make sure about this. And there is a whole topic about Bernie and Anise, which I'm hoping that she will come. This is more missionary and how to develop the missionary. First and foremost, we're going to let her go, give her that time with her husband. And once we start with the Slovakian missionary, then that particular missionary who maybe knows Bernie well, knows Anissa personally, they can start to do the missionary. Then if these women, this Bernie, if Anissa, if anyone comes to the blog, not this blog necessarily, when we're talking about the encouraging women, this one is continuing to be exactly what we envision. Other than this was a little administrative, and hopefully what we wanted is some ministering going on. So I'm going to need to come back and do that. But all of this ministering that's going on, this is what women want to come in and talk about. And within it, start to encourage them to read this lesson, and to not just recommend that they do it, but I read this lesson, and from this lesson I got this information. My husband spoke to me about this, and it's more of that interaction, and that's what draws every woman in to not only the conversation, but into wanting to have that intimacy with him. So I think that I've kind of gone over everything, and not to just keep going over the same thing, though sometimes I think that helps. But less administering, more ministering, And the ministering doesn't come from, let me take this package, situation, this translated lesson, and then present it and say, hey, go read this. Or you can say that because we want to discuss this and we're going to have a fellowship on that. I think that's the only time that you would want to do that. But here's the ultimate thing: spending more time with him, being that bride who's not down to business, back from the honeymoon, and everything goes back. When you're on vacation and you come back and you just are scrambling and you need a vacation from your vacation, we don't want to do that. We want to go on the honeymoon and come back and continue to honeymoon. Stay in that. That is, when women witness that, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to come every day? Who wouldn't want to change their life to have that as the focus, and to ask him, help me to focus that way, so it's not drudgery and burdensome. So let's all just take this weekend to go on and continue our honeymoons. I'm starting it right now. I'm looking at the time, and after this, I don't know, it'll maybe be breakfast time. I'll have it with my husband. It was finance today earlier, but that I had a great time with my husband on that. We talked about a lot of things, but as soon as it starts to become burdensome and heavy, I'm just not interested. I just don't want it to end. And it's just so easy to live that way versus the way that we get to live. And all of us have experienced the difference between being his bride and not being his bride. So just the fact that we know a little bit, let's just do more and more and more. And I think one of the things that I would love to do, and I think my husband's going to let me do, is I'm going to end this, and maybe even end it early. And then I'm going to record a podcast, just a praise about him and honeymooning with him. And I don't know, maybe it'll end up as a living lesson. Only my husband knows, but I will be maybe adding it here. If not, I'll tell you from here where to find it. And I just want you all to remember who's there with you. Spend that time, sit with him. Since my honeymoon, I'm sleeping in. It's just like a dream. It's when I said that to my husband this morning, oh, it's like a dream. The way that I'm living is just like a dream. And then he reminded me, isn't it? It's like being on vacation. And that's where I live. I've let go of everything, and I'm on a continuous vacation, a continuous honeymoon. And well, I'm just going to wait and launch that in my praise or whatever it is that I'm going to record next. So thanks for listening.